What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are tackling your weak glutes. Very important video topic for a lot of us, including myself, because if you've ever had an injury in your running, specifically in the hips, you've likely been told by a PT or an ortho that you have a very weak backside relative to your front side. When we start running, we are just focused on taking that next step forward. Any push-offs we need, everything is driven by the quads. So we get really strong, really fast in those quads, but eventually we notice we're very rounded forward. In any of my run form videos, you know I want you guys back so that your hips are under you and your landings are actually being absorbed by the glutes, the larger muscles. So the main objective of adding these exercises into our routine is to balance out the strength front to back. We want a really solid foundation for our running, for the lightest landings, the least amount of impact so that you can run as long as you want, as fast as you want, for as many years as you want. That's the goal here. So everything you'll see, like I said, it's going to burn in little tiny areas that you might not have even felt work before. But over time, when those get firing, you will feel every single time you go run when you're doing it correctly and when you're not. Exercise number 1 is going to be a variation on a Bulgarian split squat. We are not going to have our back leg up on a bench or a box this time. We're going to actually use the wall so we can press a flat foot up behind us. If you're at home and your family doesn't want your shoes all over the wall, make sure you take them off. We're going to put this up here around hip height, and you'll see we get a lot more support from the foot being on the wall and can get our weight back more over the standing heel. So I'm going to get this up as high as I can. Usually about this is good. Heel should be just under the glute, I would say. And we do want a hips width distance between our legs. So we do not want to be on a tightrope. Rub like this. Heel is there. You want that knee pointed straight down, foot pointed straight down. This tends to happen if you sit a lot during the day because we have a tight outer hip. So work on that internal rotation. Belly button in. We're nice and supported. I like to start with my hands on the hips so I can really feel where my weight is. But I'm going to go down in this squat. I'll call it lunge squat, whatever. And we're going down and then digging through this heel, which I can now have more weight on because of this support. I dig in and stand up. Goal is to keep the whole foot on the wall the whole time. Very difficult, especially if you lack range of motion in your ankle, but you're doing your best. So I go down and up. I'm thinking about that standing leg, knee going out. I'm breathing through and up. And you see, I do have a good hinge forward, the same way I would Bulgarian, but a lot more glute happening here, and pressing into the wall makes me stabilize my hips more. This is a fantastic exercise, and it really goes to show when your hips are sinking. Very hard to do this if you're leaned one way or the other. I recommend starting with 8 to 10 per side in each round. Maybe 3 rounds total. We'll kind of talk more at the end how to put these together, but I would say 8 to 10 reps per side to start. And if you need to do less than that because it's really burning, you're just trying to get it firing, go for that 6 to 8 range. Exercise number 2 is going to be with the resistance band. I highly recommend you do use one because it really increases the effectiveness of this exercise. It also just adds to the burn, which is what we're looking for at the end of the day. I will link these for you guys on Amazon. Very easy to get, and I use the lightest one in the pack. Put this just above the knees. And I like to call this one a split lunge side step. We're going to find a very shallow lunge position. Super easy, just nice and loose here. Keeping the distance between our feet, just like we did on this last one, but even more so because we want good tension through the band. So I'm going to kind of lazy lunge here. Heel stays down on the front leg, and you can have the heel up on the back leg. So we are nice and propped in this lunge, and all we're going to be doing is walking sideways and coming back. I would say about 10 feet down, 10 feet back would be a good distance to practice with, but you feel it out. Once again, we're starting small and building. So I have the hips back just a little bit, so I know the butt's going to be on. I'm going to start with my front leg, out, back one follows, out, back one follows. I'm not changing levels. My head stays at the same place. Pretend you have a glass of water and you're keeping a nice smooth step. Say I get about 10 feet down, I will keep the orientation of my legs, and now I'll lead with the back foot coming forward. You'll see again, if you have a tight hip or just lack of internal rotation, knee will start to pop out back here. Really try to keep it driving down. So I get back. Perfect. Now I can switch legs and do the same thing. So you're going both directions in both orientations of the legs. This one burns quite a bit. Take smaller steps in the beginning. The main thing is just maintaining that distance. So if I don't want to go that far, I just won't, because I know I only have to catch the distance that I stepped, right? So just like this, you will feel this really work that glute med, really everything. And I even get a nice little workout through the shins as well. So in the beginning with this one, I would go down and back with the same leg forward, switch legs down and back. And if you feel okay with that, one more time, down and back and down and back. Then add from there, but that's a good starting spot. Like I said, about 10 feet as the distance. For our next exercise, we're gonna do just a single leg hold against the wall. You will need some sort of object for this. You can use the band, just fold it up like I'm gonna do. You can use a mobility ball that's about yay big. You can just scrunch up a sweatshirt. Anything will really work. You're just gonna need something to target to hold against the wall. So here's what it looks like. Again, I'm going to give you multiple angles so you can kind of get that distance right. This one, you will know when you found the spot. It might not happen right away. So I've got my right leg down on the ground here. I'm going to bend up my other leg just like this. So from the front, it should look like we cut off half your other leg. We're standing up about a foot or so away from the wall is this standing leg. Knee is against the wall, and we're going to put the object inside between the knee and the wall. So you've got a good, I would say almost 8 inches between your two knees. And the biggest thing to know is that you want the knee right in line with the other one. So you do not want the knee of the one against the wall in front of the other leg. It's getting confusing. Hopefully from these angles, you're understanding what I'm saying. We're going to stand up nice and tall. Single leg hold. Don't go too high with this inside leg. So your hips are nice and even and flat. Belly button's pulled in. We're going to start by leaning slightly forward from the hips and slightly bending the standing leg. That's all we're going to think about for this. We're going to just hold in this position while pushing the object into the wall so that the band or whatever object you have is not falling down. So I get just enough of a tip through the hips to get my standing position. I push hard against this wall and I'm back enough to get tension through the standing glute. This is what we are working on here. So if you do not feel like you have the right distance from the wall, play with this. It took me a while to get this one right. But once I found it and I wasn't tilting the hips, and loaded back on that standing heel, I totally found the spot. You'll feel it burn. Hands can be out in front, hips, whatever feels good for you. And you're just going to breathe through this, pushing, again, finding that tension through the hips like we did on the first exercise, but really loading up this glute. Really, both of them should hurt, but it really is about that standing leg. And we just push down here. Few ways we can do this. We can just hold for 20 to 30 seconds per leg to start. Or what I like to do is press for 5 seconds, relax for 5 seconds. Press for 5 seconds, relax. Maybe do 5 or 6 rounds of that per round of the exercise. So I could be standing here, I can press hard, hard, hard. After about 5, I let it go. And then press hard as I can and let it go. And this is a good way to find that tension and keep practicing it. So you'll do both sides. Like I said, a few rounds of this, I'll go through everything at the end, but a really good one to really work both sides, but especially get to the right spot on that standing glute. Now this last one, I would not wish on my worst enemy. It is very intense, but again, so effective. Any hip issues I've ever had in running, this cured it. Anytime I stop doing this, hip pain comes back. It really, really works, guys. So again, you might not find the position on the first try, but once you do, you will really know when you have it. And then from there, it's very easy to add into your routine. So the best way to get into this, legs out in front of you, bend one knee under. So you're just kind of one leg bent, one leg straight, and prop down to your elbow so that the shoulder is right over the elbow. So we're like this. Band can be added later to make it harder. We don't need to do that yet. And what you're mainly doing is setting up your weight over that bottom glute so that it has to hover over the ground just a couple of inches. So I'm down here. I lean forward a little bit over my hand and get this bottom hip up just a couple of inches. The kicker is that this top leg is also going to be off and parallel with our hips here. So I come up, I then lift the leg, and the final thing is I lean my arm out to be parallel with that top leg. Try to show you guys multiple angles here, but I just want to show you from the front as I'm talking to you. It is a very small lift, and you are pressing into that bottom knee to get it up. So leg and arm are parallel. We're over that, and we hold. If you cannot find the spot, play with how forward or back your weight is. Also play with the leg position, more out to the side, more in front. So the first time I ever did this, I was working with a PT and I couldn't figure out how to get my weight over my glute med specifically. but I played with opening and closing my hips and then eventually landed on a good position for me. You can also adjust the angle. Just play with this, but it's a version of this. Slight lift, arm is helping you, leg is up here. The more folded over you are, usually the better you can get that weight back over the hip. The same way you can get lower in a squat when you counterbalance the weight and we hold it. Core strength really helps on this one. I'm going to tell you guys to start with literally 15 to 20 seconds aside. You can hear how hard I'm breathing. Very challenging one, very challenging. And you might notice one side is way better than the other. So sometimes I get in position on this side. This is the one where my hip has been hurt. So I really feel this one stronger because I've worked on it, but you're just going to hold. It looks like nothing. It feels like everything. So 15 to 20 seconds per side. That is your fourth movement. Forgot to give the masochists an option with the band. You can put this just above your knees and make this even worse for yourself. Put that over. We'll go above the knees. Down here, I think would be not fun at all. So we go here, bend, and then you can do this. It's absolutely an option. By all means, you guys, if you are having trouble finding the spot, you probably won't have trouble with the band. So I would keep the same timing. Just, if you want more pain, get more pain. Now, when you're in the middle of these exercises and they're burning and you have excruciating pain and you're forgetting why you're doing them in the first place, I would bring you back to the point, which is, if we can lay a very strong foundation for how you guys go out the door every single time, you will have a lot longer of a running career and a lot less injury. Fatigue is inevitable. That's going to happen at the end of a long run, but we don't have to succumb to it. We don't even have to give up speed to that fatigue if we don't want. All of our power is in our midsection here. And with these glute exercises, you guys are going to be much stronger for much longer, get a lot more out of your steps. And honestly, getting that weight back to those little pickups will give you more energy and a lower heart rate. We've talked about that. So strengthen those glutes to support everything. And more importantly, get ahead of those hip problems. Because again, when we get tired, we start to sink. And all these exercises really help us land solid. Series of single leg squats. Remember, those glutes support those steps and everything feels a lot better. So go to that place in your mind when it gets really hard. All right, let's go through the details of this workout. Here's what I recommend. I want you guys to put all these exercises in the middle of a run. You will feel the most effect from this and you will really understand where your weak spots are. I find that even if you slow down from these exercises and you're just more tired, you do feel the benefit right away, which just helps kind of really hit home what we need to do. So I create a loop system. I can do this from the house. I can do this from parked wherever I go to run, but I want you guys to do a mile or a mile and a half in your first loop. You, of course, are doing your dynamic warm up before, so your stretches and everything, but you go out, you're going to do a run, or if you're in a run walk stage of life, that's perfect. Do the mile or the mile and a half, come back to the starting spot, and then we're going to go 3 rounds of the 4 exercises. So we're going to go back leg up on the wall. There's no good order for the exercises. They all suck, so whatever you want. But you can go back leg up on the wall, 8 to 10 on the first side, 8 to 10 on the second side. We grab our band, we do our side steps and the split lunge. I like the first leg forward for down and back, about 10 feet, like I said, is the stretch. Switch feet, down and back, one more time, down and back, and other leg. Then we'll go to our hold on the wall, single leg, whatever our object is. Maybe aim for about 20, 30 seconds there and switch sides, kind of play with that timing, but you really want to find that spot turn on. And then we'll finish down on the ground with our really fun hold. I would say 15 seconds to start per side. Take as long as you need between rounds, 3 rounds total. And as I said, as you feel comfortable, build from there. Once we're done with the 3 rounds, we go back to our run loop, another mile or mile and a half, depending on how long it was. Even if you are much slower and more out of breath and just more fatigued, you will feel immediately what sort of strength all this stuff was filling in for you. Where those weak spots are, as I said, really helps identify. And then of course, you'll cool down everything normal, like your normal workouts. If you want other ways to incorporate these, I do like them for a warm up or cool down if you have a short run. Like I said, doing these next to a run really helps you understand it better, but play with it. Twice a week of these exercises would really get the job done, but definitely at least once a week I recommend. If you guys want a follow along version of the workout of the exercises themselves, I do have one on my Patreon. So highly recommend you can go there, even if you want to just do a trial for a bit on the Patreon and see what it's like to do follow alongs with me. I put them up every month, strength and run, but I will have this exact one in there. So you guys can just do the run, push play, do the run, etc. I hope this video helped you guys. This is such a big topic for all of us. I am struggling with weak glutes all the time, but we can really make them stronger and we can run a lot better much sooner. How many superlatives can I use? I love you guys. Please subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.